Welcome to our deep dive
Yeah.
today.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at something that's captivated cultures for centuries.
Right.
Angels.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, we'll be exploring how they're understood in Islamic tradition.
Okay.
We've got a thought-provoking YouTube lecture and some transcribed excerpts to guide us.
All right.
And I had to say, even just skimming these,
Yeah.
it's clear that Islamic beliefs about angels go way beyond the typical halo and wings imagery.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that's most fascinating to me about this topic. It's that
Right.
while angels are a common thread across many faiths,
Yeah.
Islam offers a perspective that's both incredibly detailed
Yeah.
and surprisingly different.
Okay, so let's jump right in.
Okay.
One of the first things that caught my eye was this idea that angels are made of pure light,
Okay.
nur, as it's called in Arabic.
Right.
I'm curious about what that symbolizes and how it sets Islamic angels apart.
That's a great place to start
Right?
because it gets to the heart of how angels are understood in Islam. Mm-hmm.
The concept of nur, this divine light, represents absolute purity and holiness.
Okay.
So right away we see that Islamic angels are inherently incapable of disobedience or sin,
Interesting.
unlike some depictions in other traditions
Yeah.
where angels can rebel or fall from grace.
So no fallen angels in Islamic thought.
Exactly. This ties into a core belief in Islam,
Yeah.
the absolute authority and impeccability of Allah's will.
Right.
Angels being created from this pure light
Okay.
are extensions of that divine will, acting as perfect conduits for carrying out Allah's commands.
I'm already seeing how this deep dive is going to challenge a lot of my preconceived notions about angels.
Oh, I think that's going to be a common theme, I
Okay.
think, for a lot of people.
Okay.
It's just going to
Okay.
be very eye-opening.
Yeah. Another thing that really struck me was the sheer size of these beings.
Yeah.
The source material mentions angels the size of mountains. Is that literal or more of a symbolic representation of their power? While interpretation can vary,
Right.
it's generally understood that the descriptions of angels' immense size are meant to emphasize the magnitude of their tasks and responsibilities.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
If even the angels who record our deeds,
Right.
the Kiraman Katibin...
Hold on. Pyramid Katibin.
Yes.
You're going to have to break that down for us.
Of course.
Okay.
The Kiraman Katibin are two specific angels assigned to each person.
Okay.
One records your good deeds,
Got it.
the other, your bad.
Okay.
Talk about accountability.
Yeah.
And the source mentions that even these angels who are constantly with us
Right.
are massive.
Wow.
It really makes you consider the scale of the unseen world alongside our own.
Okay. I'm starting to get a sense of the awe that these descriptions are meant to evoke.
Yeah,
And it's not just the everyday angels that are huge, right?
that's right.
The forces describe some truly colossal beings.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
the source describes the angel who bears Allah's throne as having a 700-year journey between its earlobe and shoulder.
Oh, wow.
A bird would take that long to fly it.
That's
Yeah.
mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling.
700 years.
And it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
what kind of power and responsibility are we talking about here
Right.
if it requires beings of that scale?
Precisely.
Mm.
It highlights the awe-inspiring grandeur of Allah's creation
Okay.
and the idea that even the most powerful angels are merely instruments of His will.
So we've got angels made of pure light.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are massive, even mountain-sized.
Yes.
And they're all busy carrying out Allah's commands.
Right.
But what does that actually look like?
Oh,
What are some of the specific roles angels play in Islamic belief?
that's where things get even more interesting because Islamic tradition doesn't just tell us about angels in the abstract.
Right.
It gives us specific names and roles,
Okay.
which helps us understand their significance.
Let's dive into those details then.
I remember the lecturer mentioned Jibril,
Mm.
or Gabriel as he's known in some other traditions.
Yeah.
What's his deal?
Jibril, often considered the most important angel in Islam,
Okay.
is the Archangel of Revelation.
Okay.
He's the one who delivered the Quran to Prophet Muhammad,
Wow.
word for word.
Okay.
Think about that. Without Jibril, there's no Quran as we know it.
That puts his role into perspective for sure.
Yeah.
It's not just about messages.
No.
It's about the foundation of an entire faith.
Absolutely.
What does this tell us about how revelation is understood in Islam?
It emphasizes the absolute importance of divine communication,
Mm-hmm.
that Allah chooses to reveal His will and guidance to humanity.
Okay.
And angels are the trusted messengers, ensuring that these revelations are received accurately and preserved faithfully.
Okay, so we've got Jibril bringing divine knowledge to the prophets.
Right.
What about other angels and their tasks?
Sure.
The lecture mentioned a few, but I can't remember all the details.
Of course, another prominent angel is Mikhail, often associated with providing sustenance.
Okay.
Rain for the crops, food for nourishment.
Right.
Those are all within Mikhail's domain.
So when it rains, that's not just weather.
Yeah.
That's Mikhail carrying out Allah's mercy and provision for creation.
You could see it that way.
Right.
Islamic belief sees the forces of nature as guided by a divine will,
Right.
with angels acting as the intermediaries, ensuring that Allah's blessings reach his creation.
Okay.
And this is just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
There are angels responsible for everything from blowing the trumpet on Judgment Day to protecting believers from harm.
Wait, the trumpet on Judgment Day, that's another angel.
That's Israfil's role.
Wow.
A pretty intense gig, right?
Yeah.
His blowing of the trumpet signals the end of the world and the beginning of judgment.
Wow.
A day when all souls will be held accountable for their actions.
Talk about a heavy responsibility.
Right.
It's clear these angels aren't just passive figures.
No.
They're actively shaping events, both large and small, and reminding us of Allah's presence in every aspect of our lives.
And that constant reminder of Allah's presence brings us to another fascinating aspect of Islamic angelology.
Yeah.
The angels who accompany us throughout our lives, recording our deeds.
You mean the Kirman Katibin we talked about earlier?
Exactly.
That's both comforting and a little intimidating to think about.
It's definitely a concept that encourages self-reflection.
Yeah.
Knowing that even our seemingly insignificant actions are being recorded underscores the importance of accountability and striving for righteousness.
It's almost like having a built-in conscience,
Yeah.
urging you to make the right choices, knowing that someone, or rather some angel, is always watching.
You could put it that way.
Right.
It emphasizes that even small acts of kindness and good deeds have significance in the grand scheme of things.
Okay.
And that even though angels are beyond our perception,
Yeah.
they are intimately involved in our lives, guiding us towards a path of righteousness.
Okay, I have to admit my head is spinning a little bit.
Understandable.
We've gone from cherubs with harps to cosmic giants
Yeah.
and personal angelic scribes, all in the space of 20 minutes?
And we're just getting started.
Oh boy.
The world of Islamic angelology is incredibly rich and nuanced.
Okay.
We've only just begun to scratch the surface of what these sources have to offer.
All right, so what's next on our angelic agenda? Where do we go from here?
Well, earlier we touched on how Islamic beliefs about angels differ from some other Abrahamic traditions.
Right.
I think it would be interesting to dig a little deeper into those distinctions.
Okay.
Because it really highlights the unique perspective that Islam offers.
You're right. We kind of glossed over that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely curious to explore how Islamic angelology stands apart, especially since most of what I know about angels comes from pop culture.
Right.
Which, let's be honest, is not exactly known for its theological accuracy.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Pop culture often borrows imagery and concepts from different traditions
Right.
without necessarily understanding the nuances.
Yeah.
So let's unpack some of those nuances.
Okay, so where do we even start?
Okay.
What's the key difference that jumps out at you?
Well, we talked about how Islamic angels are created from pure light,
Right.
nur,
Yeah.
and are therefore incapable of sin or disobedience.
Right.
This is a fundamental difference from, say, some Christian interpretations, where angels are depicted as having free will and being capable of rebelling against God.
Right.
Think of the classic fallen angel trope.
Right. Fallen angels.
With figures like Lucifer or Satan.
Yeah, the whole good angel gone bad storyline.
Exactly.
You don't really see that in Islamic teachings, do you?
Not at all.
Okay.
The concept of fallen angels doesn't exist in Islamic theology.
Huh. Interesting.
Angelic infallibility is central to the Islamic understanding of angels.
Okay.
They are perfect extensions of Allah's will, incapable of straying from their divinely ordained purpose.
So no rebellious angels in Islam?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a different dynamic for sure.
It makes you think about how different cultures and religions interpret these spiritual concepts in their own unique ways.
Exactly. And it's not just about rebellion or free will.
Right.
The very nature of angels is understood differently.
Yeah.
In some traditions, angels are seen as intermediaries.
Right.
But they can also be messengers, warriors, or even guardians.
Okay.
In Islam, their primary role is as servants of Allah, carrying out his commands with absolute obedience.
Servants of Allah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It ties back to that idea of angels being extensions of his will. So no matter what task they're performing,
Right.
it's ultimately in service to Allah
Yeah.
and the unfolding of his divine plan.
Precisely. And this unwavering obedience is seen as a reflection of their inherent purity, stemming from their creation from Nur.
Yeah.
It emphasizes the absolute power and authority of Allah,
Right.
whose will is carried out perfectly and without question by these celestial beings.
Okay, so we've touched on some core differences in how angels are conceived in Islamic thought versus other traditions.
Right.
But I'm also curious about how belief in angels impacts the daily lives of Muslims. Is it just a theological concept, or does it have practical implications?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
Because belief in angels isn't just an abstract idea in Islam.
Right.
It's deeply woven into the fabric of faith and practice.
Okay.
It influences everything from prayer and rituals to ethical behavior and social interactions.
I'm starting to see how that could be the case.
Yeah.
Knowing that angels are constantly recording your deeds would definitely make you think twice before doing something wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The presence of the Kiram and Katibin,
Right.
those angelic scribes who document our every action, serves as a powerful reminder of accountability.
Okay.
It encourages Muslims to strive for righteousness, knowing that even their most private actions are being observed and recorded.
It's like having a constant moral compass reminding you to align your actions with Islamic teachings.
Right.
But it's not just about fear of judgment, is it? There's also the comfort of knowing that good deeds are being acknowledged.
Exactly. It's not meant to be solely about fear.
Right.
Knowing that your good deeds, no matter how small, are being recorded by angels can be incredibly motivating.
Yeah.
It reinforces the belief that every act of kindness, every effort to follow Islamic principles is being acknowledged and valued.
It's like having a celestial cheering section pushing you to be your best self.
Yeah, I like that.
And speaking of celestial,
Yes.
there's that one aspect of Islamic angelology we haven't explored yet.
Right.
It really piqued my curiosity, the connection between angels and the sounds of space.
Okay.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around that one.
Yes, the cosmic mystery.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating example of how Islamic teachings can intersect with contemporary scientific discoveries in unexpected ways.
Okay, let's dive back into that rabbit hole.
Right.
Remind me, how does this connection even come about? Where do angels and space sounds intersect?
It starts with a hadith, a saying of Prophet Muhammad, which describes the heavens as creaking, filled with the sound of angels in constant prostration.
Right. And then the YouTube lecture we're working from brought up those NASA recordings of outer space.
Yeah.
The ones that some people claim sound like chanting.
Exactly. The lecturer drew a parallel between those recordings and the prophet's description, suggesting that those mysterious cosmic sounds could actually be the voices of angels praising Allah.
Okay, I get the connection, but I have to ask.
Sure.
Is there any scientific basis for this, or is it more of a symbolic interpretation?
That's where things get a bit more speculative.
Okay.
While NASA has indeed recorded various sounds in space, attributing them definitively to angels is more of an interpretation than a scientifically proven fact.
Right.
It's important to distinguish between scientific observation and religious interpretation.
So it's more about faith than hard evidence.
Yeah.
It's about seeing those sounds through the lens of Islamic belief and recognizing the possibility that what we're hearing is a manifestation of the unseen world.
You could put it that way.
It's not necessarily about proving it scientifically, but rather about appreciating the awe and wonder that such a concept evokes.
Okay.
It challenges us to think beyond the limitations of our human perception and consider the possibility that there are realms beyond our understanding, filled with beings and phenomena that defy our conventional explanations.
You know, even if it's not scientifically proven, the idea of the vastness of space filled with countless angels, their voices echoing through the cosmos, is a pretty mind-blowing concept.
It is.
It makes you feel pretty small, doesn't it?
It does in a way.
Yeah.
But it also highlights our place within that grand scheme.
Okay.
We may be small, but we're still part of this incredible tapestry of creation alongside these magnificent beings who are in constant worship of their creator.
And it emphasizes the idea that Allah's power and presence extend far beyond our limited human perception.
Exactly.
It's a humbling reminder that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves. Exactly. The concept of angels and their constant worship serves as a reminder of Allah's immanence, his closeness to us, even in the furthest reaches of the universe.
Okay.
It reinforces the idea that nothing is too big or too small to escape. his attention.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From the creation of angels, from light to their cosmic counterparts, and their impact on a Muslim's daily life.
Yeah.
It's been an incredibly thought-provoking exploration of a topic that I honestly didn't know much about before this deep dive.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Right.
Islamic angelology is a vast and intricate subject.
Yeah.
With centuries of scholarly debate and interpretation.
I'm already feeling like I need to go do some more research on my own.
I encourage it.
But before we wrap up, is there anything else from these sources that you think is particularly important for the listener to take away?
Yeah.
Any final thoughts or insights that you'd like to leave them with?
Yeah, I think what's resonated most with me is this idea that Islamic teachings about angels manage to be both awe-inspiring and deeply personal at the same time.
Yeah.
You've got these cosmic beings carrying out huge tasks, shaping the course of events.
Right.
And then you've got these angels right by our side, documenting our every action, urging us towards righteousness.
It's that balance that makes Islamic angelology so compelling.
Yeah.
It connects the vastness of creation with the intimacy of individual lives,
Right.
reminding us that we're part of something much grander than ourselves, while also emphasizing the significance of our own choices and actions.
And it all circles back to the idea that Allah's power and knowledge encompass everything,
Right.
from the movement of galaxies to the whispers of our heart.
And angels in all their various forms and functions serve as a constant reminder of that divine presence,
Absolutely.
guiding us, protecting us, and ultimately drawing us closer to our Creator.
Yeah, I think you've really hit the nail on the head there.
I have to say, this deep dive has really opened my eyes to a whole new way of thinking about angels.
Yeah.
It's definitely sparked my curiosity to learn more.
I think that's one of the most valuable takeaways from any deep dive.
Yeah.
That sense of wonder and the desire to keep exploring.
Right.
And with a topic as rich and multifaceted as Islamic angelology,
Right.
there's certainly no shortage of avenues for further exploration.
Absolutely. But for now,
Yeah,
I think we've given our listeners a pretty solid foundation to build on.
I think so.
We've explored the nature of angels,
Yes.
their diverse roles, how they're understood in Islamic thought, and even touched on those fascinating connections to the sounds of space.
We've seen how Islamic teachings about angels go beyond the simplistic imagery often found in popular culture.
Right.
They offer a nuanced perspective that emphasizes the grandeur of creation, the importance of divine revelation, and the constant presence of Allah in our lives.
Just when I thought we'd covered it all, I remember that mind-blowing detail about the angel bearing Allah's throne.
Oh, yeah.
If the distance between its earlobe and shoulder is a 700-year journey for a bird,
It's incredible.
what does that tell us about the scale and majesty of the throne itself?
It's a question that invites contemplation
Yeah,
and perhaps further deep dives.
definitely something to think about.
It reminds us that even with all we've learned, there are still mysteries to ponder and depths of knowledge yet to be explored.
So to our listener, we leave you with that thought.
Yeah.
Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never lose that sense of awe and wonder that comes with delving into the unknown,